Alrighty, welcome back. So this is the second session, Saturday session, review of General Conference, April 2020, and now it is daylight, and on top of that, the kids are awake, so if you hear the kids talking and stuff like that, what do we do? Yeah?
Yeah.
So how was that? How was the second session?
Great. How was it for you?
It was good. It was good. It was good.
Did you fall asleep or what?
I did. I fell asleep 5 minutes, but then I woke up again.
So it's 8:00 a.m. here in Sydney.
And it's actually another session.
Yeah. So this conference, they have a special evening session.
Yeah, so that would have been the priestess session.
Mm.
Yeah, that would have been the priestess session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so excited for that. I'm still in my PJs.
All right.
I feel a bit irreverent. I'll change out a bit.
But other than that, it was good. So what we wish to do is we should share with you, our thoughts, what we got from it, our takeaways, and like the last video that we did, we'll definitely, if you haven't watched it, we challenge you to go watch it because, the insights that we've learned is awesome for us. It's more, personal revelation, which is what we spoke about in our last episode. But we would want that for you guys to receive for yourselves, yeah? So what are some of the things that stood out for you?
You go first.
I'll go first? Okay. So I think, it was, there was the first couple of talks all throughout it, that second session, I just felt like the importance of the Book of Mormon. Like that was something that stood out to me. The first session was a lot about, for me, was hear him, and we spoke about how it's important for us to, to have a desire like Joseph Smith, to pray about him. And then, this session was more about the tools. These are more about the tools that Heavenly Father has given us to be able to hear him and to execute. And what are the tools that we can use today to be able to help us in this period of time, especially, in this time right now, it's pretty hectic.
Yeah. And I think the Book of Mormon is a tangible tool that we have and that we can use to hear him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think for me that also stood out too, obviously, because most of the talks were based on that. Yeah. I think one thing, it's a little bit off topic, there were key words that kept standing out to me.
Yeah, I think that's one thing. Yes, it was the Book of Mormon, but what
about it?
Yeah, with the Book of Mormon, but what was the revelation that you were seeing as a mum? What were you hearing coming through to your mind? What did you feel that was important for you?
I think just as me, the words that just really stood out, with I think almost every talk I wrote down, were the words steadfast, immovable, pressing forward steadfastly.
Yeah.
Then in the last talk, Elder Stephen spoke about, foundations and building yourself upon the rock. What are my cornerstones? What am I built upon? Something that also stood out to me was when, I think it was out of Renland, maybe? Someone spoke about it, about Lehi, how when he was at the Tree of Life, beckoning to his family to come and partake of the fruit.
Yeah, it was John McCune.
You
were falling asleep.
I wasn't falling asleep. He didn't. Yeah. He didn't move.
Yeah.
He let his family come to him.
Yeah.
And so, we spoke about this a couple of weeks ago, how it's important for us to, we're not perfect, obviously, but it's important for us to live the gospel, but to be a good example.
Yeah.
Especially when we have family and friends around us who are not, who might not be active in the gospel, who might not even be members of the gospel of the church. Do you know what I mean? And so that stood out to me, to stand firm, to be steadfast, to be immovable, to press forward steadfastly. That's kind of what stood out to me there.
Yeah.
One of the things that stood out to me.
And I think, that example that he uses with Lehi,
isn't that powerful?
So before that, he says that focus on the Savior to help you achieve God's will, just like Nephi. So not every trial will end up the way you see fit, but from the Lord's will, I can't.
Yeah.
Bad grammar. But he'll be able to give you the power to be able to heal you in those times of trial. Yeah. So just like Lehi's dream, when he had this dream, he was there and he partook of the fruit and he felt the joy and the excitement and the happiness from partaking of the fruit. And so of course he looked towards his family, he invited them to come, and those that came, and then Laman and Lemuel, as we know in the book of Mormon, didn't come. And so he didn't leave the tree to go get them.
Yeah.
He stood his ground.
Yeah.
And in a way, it's like, and how tempting would it be?
Yeah, because you'd want to go, but you can't help anyone else until you help yourself.
Yeah.
Do you know? It's like when you're, when you're on the plane.
Like, look at our kids.
Yeah.
Like I think we need to speak in very, I like to, when we specific, yeah. Let's try to be more specific with things that we share, because that's how it's going to benefit us. You know what I mean? We always, and you notice people a lot of time they speak in second person or third person. But I think, look, what is it?
Yeah, third person.
Is that right? But anyways, look at our kids. Like, think about it. So, baby, Lolong. Imagine that. Like, yeah, it's like in the Book of Mormon happened like that, but it's hard.
Yeah.
How do you just
how do you just let them go?
Yeah.
How do you just let them choose? How do you? It takes a lot of. That's why you got to remain focused on the Lord, because only He is going to get you, like, through trials.
Like the natural man, literally. Like for me, I'm a father. I'm with my kids. I'm like, man, we need to get them. Like, just it's going to be
you're
tempting.
You're tempted to just rescue them.
To leave your ground.
But you're not going to help them that way. You're not going to help yourself that way.
Yeah.
We're not going to help ourselves that way. We have to be firm in our testimonies, in our in every, like, the way we act, the way we dress, the way we speak,
I think, if I'm looking at it myself, like, it's lowering your standards.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's lowering your standards. It's, many times for myself, I'll be surrounded by people that, that their standards
don't share the
same standard. And it's so easy. Yeah. It's easy because you want to fit in.
Yeah.
Because you want to be liked. It's very,
you don't want to be left out.
It's that temporary natural man that will get you to lower your standards and say, you know what, let me just, go back into it. Let me just kind of relate to them. And it's hard to, think about, is it Thomas's motto? Like, stand alone, right? And it's, you need to have an eternal perspective to be like that. That's what Lehi felt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think what they talk about is, like you said earlier, it's important. This is why it's important to work on yourselves. This is why it's important for us to work on ourselves.
Yeah.
It's important for us to work on ourselves, especially our parents, to have the Christ-like attributes to be able to
share.
Be more patient. Look at it. Look what's happening right now. Legitimately happening right now. This happens all the time. Every time we try to have like a come follow me. We'll try to discussion. We'll try to do planning, goals.
Even when we're listening to the first speakers, baby's just playing up.
Baby's playing up. And it's very easy for us to just this is a great example. Listen to this. It's very easy for us to justify and say, you know what? We're not going to listen to general conference right now because things are not happening the way we had it planned.
It's not peaceful.
It's not peaceful. It's not quiet. Like that's what we hope for. But in reality, this is how hectic it is. Yeah. And it's very easy to just lower your standards. Yeah. Right? How many times have we experienced that?
Yeah, many times. What's something else that stood out to you? Something else that stood out to me was by Aldo Renlund. When he spoke about like remember the greatness of God, and then he goes on to
he spoke about remembering.
Yeah,
remembering.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was him, but he spoke about like how as disciples of Christ, it doesn't excuse us from trials.
Yeah. As what, sorry?
As disciples of Christ, as followers of Christ, it doesn't, just because, you know, we do the things and whatever, it doesn't mean that we're excused or we're exempt from trials. And I was taken back to, remember when April went in hospital?
Yes.
Last year. And you got called?
Yeah.
And, you know, Guinea got a new calling, and he was supposed to be called that Sunday. And April went into hospital Friday night. She got worse on Saturday night, to the point that you couldn't go in because I just had like a hectic, I was pregnant, I had a hectic, you know, night, didn't sleep well. I could barely stay awake to watch her, that you had to come in on the Sunday and, you know, take over.
Yeah, so you're saying, what you're saying is like, as much we were trying to serve the Lord, we're trying to, like, we wanted to go to church because that was not sustaining. I couldn't, you know, I felt like it wasn't suitable for me to go to church because, you know, you needed me, the kids needed me.
And you know,
and it's like, we're trying, come on, man, we're trying, Heavenly Father, man. Like,
and in that moment, I was just like, I remember questioning Heavenly Father, like, why?
Yeah.
Why couldn't you just make her get better?
Yeah.
Why couldn't you just allow us to be in church and to
100%.
to be there in person and to sustain, and like, you know, because your calling still went ahead. So, you know, and I think I don't think I've really questioned. I haven't questioned the Lord. I haven't questioned Heavenly Father that way before. I think that was probably the first time that I felt some type of way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then when you remember, you know, you remember all the good. You remember that you are in good care. And you remember all the positive things that are happening in your times of trial. You know that those tender mercies are from the Lord. And then when you have that bigger perspective, when you have that in mind, your perspective changes.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
Your perspective changed. And so I think, you know, honestly, initially I was like, oh my gosh, like kind of upset. And then I realized, I'm like, you know what? April's in like the best care right now. She's got the doctor, she's got nurses, we've got
But it's so easy
and
to not think like that. Yes. It's so easy. Come on, let's be real. Like, let's be real. Like, that's what we're having this. It's very easy to just complain. It's very easy to point the fingers at other people. It's very easy to, you know, to be able to think the opposite direction, right?
Yeah. And that's why it's important to focus.
Yeah.
Focus on the Lord and remember. And something that I feel prompted to do is, do you know how when I read the Book of Mormon, I highlight for the kids, I highlight like certain topics or words as I read.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm going to do that for baby. Where is he? For baby. And I feel prompted to highlight like the word remember and highlight tender mercies throughout the Book of Mormon. Because when we remember those things, there are certain fruits that come from remembering that Brendan spoke about. You know, spiritual sensitivity being one of them, being like a major one of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, that was a really cool talk by Dale G. Renman. And yeah, I wrote a similar thing. It's in times of hardship, we need to remember how merciful the Lord has been to us. It's a very similar pattern you see in the Book of Mormon, where it's just a very common pattern with the pride cycle.
And the angels that always appear, they always remind, like whoever they're speaking to, like remember tender mercies, like remember this, like remember when this happened, remember when the Lord did this, like do you know what I mean?
And I think the one thing that if you notice a pattern in the Book of Mormon, and it's happening in the Book of Mormon, right? Then you're gonna understand. Then for us, we need to expect that these patterns are gonna happen.
Yeah.
In our life.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like there needs to be, like for me, I've really come to learn the importance of being challenged and not being comfortable.
Yeah.
Right. Like from the experience being in the hospital, that we grew from there. Even at that moment, we didn't like it. It was hard and difficult. Yeah. And we're always thinking about it. That led us to growth. So, and I talked to my wife at the start of this year. I was like, man, I feel like right now in our life, like everything is pretty good. Right? Like we had a discussion, we're like, man, baby's here, we've hit some goals. There's some goals that we want to hit, finances, business, and this. And I feel like I told mom, I was like, I feel like there's something coming. Right?
Something challenging again.
There's something challenging coming. And for me, I think if you think about it and you expect it, you're expecting it, when it does come, you're going to be ready. Yeah. But if you're not expecting it, and something happens and you get punched in the face and you're like...
It rocks you.
Yeah.
That's why it's important to build your foundation.
And one thing that I wrote down is like, so yes, you're right, remembering. Yeah. And that's very important. So the question I have for me is like, how do we remember? How do we stay spiritually alive? Right? And how do we not fall back into that pride cycle?
Yeah. But do you know what it is for me? It's just so simple. You just got to do the basics.
Yeah.
Praying with intent, like sincere prayer, like really wanting to communicate, to speak, speak and then to hear, and then it's, our scriptures, are we studying the Book of Mormon? Are we studying the Bible? Are we listening and are we studying the words of like modern day prophets? We're going back on general conference sessions and listening to that, reading that, like, and are we applying what we learn?
You know what's funny, as you're just saying that, it goes, I just felt impressed, I thought about the last talk. Right? Like the last talk, and he was talking about how within the Salt Lake Temple, they've just shut it down. There's a renovation for 4 years. It's lasted for how long? 120 years? 120 years?
Yeah.
But Brigham Young, he felt impressed, and he dreamed that the temple was going to hold for the next millennium.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Yeah, so I felt like the temple was going to hold for that was his vision. That was the revelation that he received. And so, it's 120 years later. And so, right now they're going through a renewal phase. They're going through a phase where they're renewing it, they're upgrading it, they're building a better foundation.
Yeah.
And so, I wrote here, like, how do we apply that to our life? What are some of the renovations that we need to do within our family? And then it talked a lot about...
Yeah, because you talked about spiritual assessment.
Yeah. And for us, like we're married now for 6 years? And to be able to look at the last 6 years, has it been good?
We're still here.
It's been hectic. It's been hectic. I love it. But yeah, look back at the last 6 years, look at where our focus was, and then moving forward, it's like, all right, how can we tune things? How can we refine things? How can we upgrade things? How do we align? What are the cornerstones? That's the words that he uses, that we need to recreate in our family, in our relationship moving forward, to be able to last for the next millennium. Right?
Yeah. I wrote down 4 cornerstones.
What was it? Was I one of them?
Prayer, church, scripture study, and temple attendance.
Did that relate to the temple recommend questions?
Not really. Oh, yeah, ish. I don't know. But
So let me ask you this question. Why do you think those 4 things are going to help us to stay, or why did you feel that that was the cornerstone of our family, that we need to establish our life on, our values on, to be able to last for the next millennium, or to last for the next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, to be able to lay the foundation for the kids?
Because those are just the basic, simple things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If we're praying,
Consider there, April.
If we're praying, then that means that if we're praying the correct way.
Yeah.
If we're praying, then that means we are seeking the Lord's will, and we're asking for how to carry out His will.
Yeah.
If we are searching the scriptures, that means we are actively. That means we are actively searching, pondering.
Yeah.
We're constantly feasting. Yeah, we're remembering. We're feasting. You know, we're learning. We're learning from. You know, people of old, like their experiences and what we can do better. And then temple attendance. You know, if we don't know what our covenants are, how can we stay on the covenant path?
True.
Do you know what I mean?
So it's just like that simple act.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, when we go to the temple, we're reminded of what our covenants are. We're able to renew our covenants. But I mean, if we're not even showing up at the temple and going into the temple, how are we supposed to stay on the covenant?
So it's prayer, church, scripture study, and temple attendance.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then if you go to church every Sunday, then you're renewing your covenants. So you're being reminded every single week through partaking of sacrament. And then if you're praying every single day, that's some sort of reminder.
Yeah.
So, hey, like, Nana, wake up. Stop mama banging.
And then, you know, I liked how, I forgot who it was, they quoted President Nelson's quote, you know, as we study the Book of Mormon every day, we will make better decisions.
And adjustments.
Every day.
And adjustments.
Yeah, you know. And it comes down to like the most basic of things. So that's why I felt, that's why I felt that those were like 4 cornerstones.
I really like that. I really like that because, you know, I think about that to my weight loss journey, right? Like if you think about my weight loss journey, I think about my weight loss journey, it's very simple. It's like comes down to like 2 to 3 things, very, very simple. And if you practice this habitually, it's gonna get me, it's got me to this point right now where I am right now.
Because you're establishing habits.
It's all
based off those 3
it's
things.
a constant habit. So like for example, number 1 is nutrition.
Yeah.
You know, so like for me and the boys is like intermittent fasting. Right? Then number 2, it's like train every day.
Yeah.
Like your goal is to train every day. And every time I train, you know, most days when you train, you're reminded of, oh man, look how heavy I am, this and this and this.
Yeah.
So it's that constant reminder. And then like nutrition and then accountability, some sort of accountability. But I find it's very similar to what you said in regards to prayer, church, scripture study, even the scripture study.
Yeah.
That's like
come follow me.
Yeah. But that's like an upliftment in itself.
Yeah.
You know, like even if we just did come follow me like 1 or 2 times a week, and we did it like midweek and then towards the end of the week, it's like a power booster, right? Yeah. And then it'll get you across the line on Sunday. And when you get to Sunday, it's like to renewal. Yeah. Wow, that was awesome.
Yeah, so I liked that a lot. And
great insights.
Yeah.
I mean.
You know, and if that's
Great
strong,
insights.
like if your 4 cornerstones are strong, then your foundation is strong, and then
Yes.
whatever you face in life, you'll be able to stand firm, immovable, steadfast, which are the words that stood out to me this session. So
I think one thing that stood out to me in these 2 sessions that I haven't said yet is that for me, like in my situation, I think this is just something for me right now, Ginger, like right now in where we are right now, as a father, as a husband, you know, provider. For me, it's what he told to the primary. What did he say?
In the first session.
The first session.
Because yeah, it's hard.
It's hard, right? But so if you haven't watched the first session, there's a scene there where he's interviewing, the primary kids are interviewing him.
Asking him questions.
And asking questions. And the question they're asking is like, is it hard to be a prophet?
Mm.
And then he relates to, is it Moses?
Mm.
And he said Moses had to climb Mount Sinai, and it was a very big mountain. And was it hard? Yes, it was hard. And what he said, he's like, when the Lord told him to climb the mountain, and he said, yes, I'll climb. He didn't say to the Lord, all right, we'll meet halfway. You know what I mean? And then, so what I'm trying to get to is that what Russell said, he said, the Lord loves hard work.
Yeah.
Hard work, to be important, to be like, to work hard. And I'm not physically work, physically work hard, but to be immovable, to, like you said, steadfast, do things.
Yeah.
Don't be, what's the word, slothful. Don't be
lazy.
Don't be lazy, man. Like there's things
Don't be casual.
Don't be casual. There's things that we know we need to do. Let's get it done. Like done church, spiritual ones, physical ones, temporarily within our family, within our relationship. Like you stop being slothful. Take me out on dates and stuff.
Right.
You know. Yeah. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. And you know, the second speaker said it. You know, he shared 1 Nephi 3:7. And he said, you know, just like Nephi, we can do hard things.
Yeah.
We can do hard things, and we can do hard things with faith. You know, and the last speaker spoke about that sister.
Faith.
You know, and you know, like, you know, I think they asked her like, oh, how do you do it? And she's like, well, faith. You know, faith leads to light. And when you walk through darkness, and you have faith, but you're walking through darkness with faith, your light shines brighter at the other end, on the other side of that.
Once you overcome it.
Yeah.
But you mean your faith becomes stronger?
Yeah.
So
and I feel like.
So if anything, the trial is two things: to test you, your faith, and then the second thing, to grow your faith.
Yeah. To nurture us.
So if you're going for a tough time right now, what are you going to say to everyone?
Go forward.
Go forward, baby.
Go. Steadfastly with faith. And I've seen that in my life, I feel.
But you've had me back you up for the last 6 years, so you've been all right.
All right. And it's not easy.
It's not easy.
It's not easy.
It shouldn't be easy.
It's not meant to be.
It's not meant to be easy. It's easy, everybody will do it.
But it is worth it, though. It is worth it. So, and then, you know, when you remember why, like, we're given trials and obstacles and hardships and things like that, and we remember that God knows us and that He knows our strengths and our weaknesses,
and this is what He wants from you.
Then we can take.
Remember what they said. The one attribute that they say is, he goes, I forgot who said it, but they said to be able to see someone for who they or for someone that they're going to become rather than who they are now. To see through the Lord's eyes.
To see through God's
eyes. And that's what He sees in us.
Yeah.
You know, when April was in hospital twice, when Subaby was in hospital, Subaby burnt herself, and it was crazy, hectic time. You know, any parent would be able to relate to the stress. So, you know, Heavenly Father's like, you're going to grow from this.
Yeah. And even other trials.
So are you telling your Father you want more trials in your life?
I'm good with my mountain.
Maybe we should be careful of what we say.
I'm good with my mountain.
But no, they say maybe you should be careful for what you wish for.
What you wish for. Grandma said that actually. But yeah, I.
But that's what I mean. But that's what I'm saying. That's what I mean when I say, like, when Joseph Smith, when Russell and Nelson said, the Lord loves hard work. Henry Byron gave a good talk before. Yeah. And what did he say? He talked about climbing the mountain.
Yeah.
He talked about climbing the mountain and to ask Heavenly Father for a mountain.
Yeah.
Like, if you feel like you've accomplished something and you're good right now, ask Heavenly Father, like, give me another trial. See, it's a different way of thinking than thinking in the mind of scarcity.
Yeah. Or that you're scared, or that you're fearful.
You're fearful.
You're fearful.
And like you said, it comes
back to. But if you have faith.
It comes back to having the faith.
Yeah. If you have faith. Yeah. So I think I just want to just end on this little note.
What are we ending on?
In the closing prayer, he prayed that we would lead a holier and higher way, something like that. Holier and higher way. So I hope that what we've learnt will
encourage you.
Yeah, but I think that we will actually apply what we've learnt.
I said not encourage you. I mean, encourage us.
Encourage us, like
to
just implement.
So not be thinkers,
but doers of the word.
Doers, man.
Yeah.
Do.
And that in turn, that will be able to live a much holier and higher way. So we'll see you in the next session. Please let us know.
Please let us know what you guys are getting from the general conference. If you don't want to put it in the comment, just message me or my wife. We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Say bye.
See you guys soon.